Hear ye, hear ye. Today we are heading over to the Montreal Canadiens ahead of their game later today against the Detroit Red Wings, and we will be talking about some updates in regards to Kent Hughes and his trek over to Russia. Now, there are a few angles we could go out there and tackle in this video. We can talk about Kent Hughes watching Ivan Demidov score a goal. We can talk about Kent Hughes not being in Canada, therefore not being able to call the new trade acquisition, Alexandre Carrier. We can talk about a bunch of things in regards to Kent, Vinny, and Rottenberg. But ultimately what I wanted to do in this video was go over a different aspect of the conversation when it comes to Habs top prospect Ivan Demidov, because we all recognize that Kent Hughes is in Russia, or he was in Russia, for Ivan Demidov, right? He wasn't going out there taking a tour SKA St. Petersburg because he wanted to talk about Roman Rottenberg about how great Ska Arena is, as much as Roman Rottenberg would go out there and proclaim that on his Telegram account. But Kent Hughes, Bobrov, they were there for a very particular reason, to watch Demidov, and there were a little bit of, let's just say conversations about the fact that Kent Hughes even went over to Russia in the first place. There were many going out there and talking about whether or not it's appropriate for Kent Hughes to be in Russia at this time. And honestly, I think those comments are a little bit ridiculous. Like, people are talking about, oh, Ukraine, etc., etc., but like, come on. Not everybody who is in Russia, firstly, supports the war in the first place, and secondly, not everybody in Russia is even at the war. You think these SKA St. Petersburg players, Roman Rottenberg, the head coach, are going out there and completely 100% with their heart of hearts fully endorsing everything that's going on? Like, anecdotal evidence, sure, but one of my friends, very, very good friends, is Russian, in Russia right now, and they are not a threat to society. They're a very, very kind-hearted, open-minded, and thoughtful person who is actually against the war. Maybe it's not good for me to say that on YouTube here, but I guess I'm in Canada, right? So who really knows? But at the same time, just because somebody is Russian or somebody is in Russia does not mean they go out there and support whatever it is that's going on with their political warfare. With this in mind, though, we did have some responses and stuff from the rest of the Montreal Canadiens players, or not even the rest, but just two of them, that go out there and talk about Kent Hughes and his visit over to Russia. Let's go out there and talk about some comments made by Mike Matheson and Nick Suzuki via this article by Jonathan Bernier on TVA Sports from yesterday. Montreal staff visit to Russia. It shows that the team cares about him, Matheson says. This article will be linked in the description. It's translated from French into English. It opens up by talking about how Nick Bobrov, Kent Hughes, and Vinny Lecavalier went to Russia to try to get Ivan Demidov out of his misery. Goodness, that's a brutal way to put it. For Ivan, it shows that the team cares about him and that he's a very important project for the organization, said Mike Matheson after the team's practice. Knowing that the team's management is watching him and is excited to welcome him one day, it's definitely going to give him confidence. It will also prove to him that he is not alone in the world. We must not forget that we are talking about a young man who has just celebrated his 19th birthday. At that age, you don't necessarily have the tools to face a big machine like the KHL, and it's sometimes shady leaders. It's a burden that can become heavy to bear. Big props to Bernier for going out there and writing about the KHL like this, because obviously there is more of a link now between Montreal and the Montreal media and KHL media. Now that Ivan Demidov is a thing, there's a lot of connection being put out there between the two parties, and I don't know, man, I'm not going to say that tossing out shots like this is necessarily a great idea, but it certainly isn't wrong, in my opinion. Let's go out there and continue. Nick Suzuki said about Ivan Demidov, he is one of our greatest prospects, and the organization just drafted him. It's normal that our leaders travel to see him. The article then talks about how the Montreal Canadiens executives did the same thing with Hage, they did the same thing for Fowler, and you also have David Reinbacher also still being a part of the squad here. The Montreal Canadiens are doing a pretty good job at allowing these prospects to feel welcomed and a part of their bigger picture. Sure, we drafted you, Ivan, back in the 2024 NHL Draft, and sure, you're in Russia, but we're not disconnected. We are still monitoring everything that you're doing. We're still connecting. We are still going to be there. We are still going to hopefully show up and inspire your coach to give you some more ice time, because now that we're here, the coach has all the reason in the world to start actually playing you more than 5 minutes a game. Sounds like a pretty good way to get everything that you want here. The article then talks about the mandate to take care of development of your players to ensure their well-being and their growth, as former players agent Kent Hughes knows a lot about this issue. So the fact that some people question the visit of the 3 Habs guys to Russia in times of war will certainly go over his head 10 feet. Marty St. Louis responded to a question on that subject, and he said this, "I won't comment on that," he replied curtly. The article then wraps up by talking about some more comments on Demidov from Suzuki and Matheson. "I haven't really watched his games, but I have seen the highlights. Everyone speaks highly of him," Nick Suzuki said. "We're excited about the prospect of welcoming a player of such high caliber. We'll see what happens, but we're really looking forward to seeing him. We're always open to welcoming those types of players," Matheson said, but with a word of caution. "It's going to be important to make him understand that the fate of the team doesn't rest solely on his shoulders." A discussion that Hughes, Lecavalier, Bobrov, and Jeff Gordon will surely have with him once they manage to get him out of the hole. And so, this is actually, I think, the first time we had seen any commentary made about Ivan Demidov from fellow Montreal Canadiens players. And I say fellow, like, oh, Demidov's not on the team yet, but it is interesting to see that the top forward and one of the top defensemen on the team are finding ways to see what Demidov is about, see what his game is like, and acknowledge the greatness that is his playmaking, his goal scoring, his dynamism, his overall offensive package, and it seems like there is a very welcoming presence here for the Canadiens and their guys to bring this guy over with the biggest open arms possible. And why wouldn't there be? The Canadiens kind of stink this year, if you hadn't been already able to tell. So for the Habs to be in a position to get some great talent coming up into the lineup soon, it's only going to be going up from here, right? Look at what Matvei Mishkov is doing in Philadelphia. That guy's a beast. That guy's a monster. Sure, he was a -4 the other night, but who cares? He is still very, very good. And look at what Lane Hudson is doing in Montreal. Sometimes all you need is a stud Russian rookie to really make things happen. Sometimes you need a rookie with the offensive IQ or the puck skills like a Hudson or a Demidov to really turn things inside out, upside down, and bring joy to the forefront once more as you journey out of Imagination Station. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Montreal Canadiens players Nick Suzuki and Mike Matheson speaking out about Demidov, speaking about Kent Hughes going over and checking up on Demidov, and how much hope does this inspire for you as a Montreal Canadiens fan? I'm assuming you're a Canadiens fan. If you're not, then why are you watching this video, and why did you get to the end at 8 minutes? If you're a fan of the Sabres or the Rangers or the Red Wings or something, it's kind of funny how you watched this whole video to the very end, isn't it? But anyways, thoughts in the comment section either way about Demidov and this situation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.